Okay, so in this video, I will be analysing Tony Harrison's poem, The Bright Lights of Sarajevo. So in this slide, I've just got the poem up here. You can pause the video if you want to read it. So this poem explores themes about love and war and uses various different devices to show this, such as the allusion to Pleiades, its dark imagery, its journalistic tone. It's not traditionally poetic. Okay, so this poem has got lots of different types of words, essentially. It's got bright lights, which contrasts to the darkened violence, like black, dead, or blood or massacre, of night and the war, which is, again, juxtaposed of romantic language, like candlelit, flirtatious, fancied, which are effectively the bright lights. But I remember candlelit is due to a lack of electricity, which makes the reader remember that there's a war going on, linking back to the dark and violence. The inhabitants are obviously used to this, see the strollers stride, or the fact that they don't collide. You can link that back to the war. They're definitely used to all this. Okay, so you see a lot of imagery in here as well. Often dodging snipers on the way, people walking streets, Serb shells destroyed. You immediately see the war is going on, and it further shows how the inhabitants are used to war and danger. In 92 to Broken Red Dead, it shows how brutal war can be, and blood-dunked crusts of shredded breads show how normal life and regular routine is still unsafe. The word dunked seems homely, but this time it's linked to something deadly. Lots of dark, representing war and death, dark boy, dark girl, all tainted by war. And then there's fragments of splintered Pleiades. Pleiades is a constellation representing light overlooking darkness. The poem's tone seems quite detached, as if recording events from a safe distance. Basically like a news report. There is some sense of excitement and lightheartedness sometimes. So the former being, but tonight in Sarajevo, that's just not the case, or when a girl's dark shape is fancied by a boy's. But a sense of sadness in the phrase, in a candlelit cafe until curfew, and he holds her hand behind aids flowers, flour sacks refilled with sand, love tarnished by war. Overall, the poem reads like a news report. So the poem uses several literary devices. The main device is juxtaposition. So you see the romance and the violence, death and blood. Also, you see Muslim, Serb, and Croat in the poem. So the dark war makes everybody suffer, whatever nationality or background you come from. There's also some alliteration, mortars massacred, death deep, death dark. Also, there's a repetition there. So it's symbolic of evil, all the death and all of that. I mean, darkness and death are recurring themes linked back to war, man-made darkness. The poem has a few messages. The main one is that romantic love can bring light to a dark place, but it also explores how war can destroy and tarnish all that is good. The poem explores the destructive nature of war on everything: daily life, love. So the poem is from the point of view of an author, reporter, an observer, someone who's safe but observing dangerous situations. This gives me a chance to explore the life of the poet Tony Harrison. So he's an English poet, he's from a working class family, he often refers to his roots in his work. One of his most famous works is called V, which called outrage for its strong language. He received a scholarship and went to university to study classics. Mary Kaiser, World Literature Today, noted that throughout his work, the dynamic of an overlooked minority resisting an elite and powerful majority plays itself out, whether the context is ancient Greek or Rome, the post-war Leeds of his childhood, or contemporary London. So the rhythm. So perfect iambic pentameter, ordered, simple, matter-of-fact, yet, due to the enjambment, feels more like a report than a poem. So the rhyme is almost the same thing, but it's A, B, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, etc. Ordered in a sense, yet sometimes chaotic in the sense that it doesn't read like a poem, more like a news report. So perhaps order among the chaos, love. Okay, so now let's talk about the form of the structure. So it begins with the introduction to a dangerous war-stricken life in Sarajevo. And it ends with romance within context of war. So a continuous reminder of how war affects daily life. So in between, you get romance, the light, and then suddenly you get gore, a brutal realization of war horror. Okay, so now for the conclusion. So, written by a poet who often bases his work on the overlooked and lower class, Bright Lights of Sarajevo uses different techniques to explore its themes about love and war, such as regular rhyme scheme, alliteration, and most importantly, juxtaposition.